we are talking about the cold temperatures and the hard freeze warning that's in effect, and the number of homes that have had flooding because pipes have burst.
I have lived in my current home in Granite Bay for 19 years, and this weekend, for the first time, I repaired a pipe that broke because of cold weather.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's the real deal. In fact, let's make that story #1, shall we?
That's right, and we're going to check in right now with Darren Peck, who is tracking those cold temperatures. Good morning, Darren.
Sabrina, would you believe me if I told you we're anywhere from 4 to 7 degrees warmer than we were yesterday right now?
I say you're full of hogwash.
Yeah.
Hot air. It's hot air.
On the streets of Seattle looking for a fight of sorts. Let the mayhem of snowball throwing begin. 800 miles and 5 months later, a touching reunion in Southern California for this lucky dog with the appropriately fitting name, Lucky. The Pomeranian from LA was actually found wandering the streets of Sacramento. And after 5 months, Dennis Shanahan tells us that Lucky's owner probably never thought she'd ever see her dog again.
The ending for Lucky the puppy.
And what a jerk someone was for not turning the dog in and not having enough reward money.
And how did Lucky get here? I don't know.
We have some breaking news out of Old Sacramento, where there are reports that several cars have been vandalized. Elisa Becerra is live on the scene with details. Elisa, we saw some video earlier of some tires being flattened. Anything else there?
A local man looking for the child author of a rule book.
So one of the rules in it, just to give you an example, don't bite the dentist.
Great advice.
Right? Stuff you can use. Story #2, also new this morning. A suspect driving a stolen car slams into a church in Sacramento. Officers found the car in an alleyway behind the intersection of Rio Linda Boulevard and Eleanor Avenue. Investigators say the suspect ran off but left his ID on the passenger seat. And so, things that you learned from movies, I was thinking of when I'm painting this up and down like you'd see on The Karate Kid. So we're talking about refinishing and basically restoring old worn chairs, bringing them back to life, and of course our do-it-yourself expert, Sue Monday. Tell us about this, because when I think, okay, it looks like it's in worse shape than it actually is, but it's pretty easy to bring it back. Well, to avoid overexposure to harmful UV rays, you may want to step outside while you're at work. Researchers at Stony Brook University on Long Island say compact fluorescent lights, those little squiggly light bulbs, the energy-saving ones, found in most offices may exceed your daily dose of UV radiation in as little as 5 hours. But let's be honest, just about everything gives you cancer these days, it seems. It is absolutely freezing. You just saw Darren out here in his big puffy coat, and I'm with Sue Monday once again. And Paul, you just experienced this past weekend. Your pipes burst. 19 years in your own house. Pipes finally burst. Yes.
Oh, that's awful.
Isn't that terrible?
Yes.
So how do we have an example here of an exposed pipe. How do people preserve it so what happened to Paul doesn't happen to everyone else at home?
So you can buy these foam covers.
They're not pool noodles.
They're not pool noodles.
So earlier we told you about a SWAT standoff at a Modesto gas station. It was about 4 hours long, and the suspect was eventually arrested. But there was something else that was happening in the crowd as the standoff was going on that may raise some eyebrows. I'm Sabrina Rodriguez. We are in Lincoln this morning, and we are about to get muddy, all for a great cause. Check this out. It's the 2nd annual Mud Run for Life, and I'm going to head down this mudslide in just a little bit, and I'm told I'm going to go over my head. So, guys, I'm going to put the microphone down so I don't lose it, and we'll be back in about 15 minutes to watch me get really muddy. Bye.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Wow. Sabrina gets the MVP award.
And we are trudging through the mud, because let's be honest, well, life can get pretty muddy sometimes. We're talking about a great event in Lincoln called the Mud Run for Life, and it's all about suicide prevention. Lots of great obstacles. I'll introduce you to the families who started this and how you can take part this weekend. Good morning, guys. So we are at the start line here for the Mud Run for Life here in Lincoln, and I actually haven't been through this obstacle yet, so I don't know how deep it goes, so I'm trying to be gingerly. This is called Duck Dynasty, and this is an event that is in its 2nd year, and it's all about suicide prevention. I just got caught up on a duck. Oh no. And the whole idea is that there's 10 different obstacles that you have to go through on this 5K, a 3.1 mile course, and you just trudge through the mud. And we are here in Lincoln, and I am tackling yet another part of the obstacle course, the climbing wall. It's a lot of fun, and this is all part of the Mud Run for Life, which raises money for suicide prevention. Oh boy, this is a lot of work. And if you're looking for something great to do this weekend, well, I'll show you how you can take part in all of this.
It is time for Don't Be That Guy, the segment where Sabrina Rodriguez calls out those social pet peeves, although I like this because they're almost always suggested by viewers.
They almost always are. And so this one is coming to us from Michelle. She wanted us to do one about drive-through etiquette. She says, I find that more and more frequently I'm held up by drivers that don't pull all the way forward or place orders so complicated it backs up the entire line. What is the etiquette in these situations?
Who's the one who came up with the phrase drive-through dummies?
That would be me. All right, so Keith, we're talking about a couple fun little things here. The first one, of course, about Crocs, which I have very, very strong feelings about Crocs.
Do you love the Crocs?
I'm not a fan of Crocs, but I support people's choices in wearing them. But we have some Crocs news. Yes, and being joined by the lovely ladies from Mama Boot Camp and Lorianne, and you've got 5 easy tips to
get more of this and less of this. 5 tips to New Year, New You.
What's that?
5 pounds of fat.
Oh gosh, that's
5
disgusting.
5 pounds of lean muscle.
So of course the Niners doing very well, but we've heard that 5 head coaches have been fired.
It's coach firing season right now.
And if you look at the teams, it's really no surprise. We got Tampa Bay, the Bucks didn't do very well. Washington, I think, only had 3 victories this season.
After such great expectations for that team.
Oh,
yeah.
And RG3 was my fantasy quarterback, and he just let me down. It's beginning to look a lot like summer in the Sierra. It's peak ski season, and the only way resorts like Boreal are getting skiers up to the mountain to their resort is to make snow as fast as they can. Boreal did admit they spend a lot keeping their resort open when Mother Nature doesn't produce snow, but Monday's crowds make it all worth it. Wow. And I was really hoping I could enjoy some really good skiing and snowboarding.
Spring skiing.
Okay.
In December.
We'll do that. Speaking of all the New Year's celebrations, of course we know about the ball that drops in Times Square. All around the country, though, they drop different things, and we'll have a breakdown of the different things that are dropped. Pineapples, shoes, moon pies. That's great. In the meantime, here are our top stories this morning. Well, tonight is New Year's Eve, and Old Sacramento officials remain on high alert as they gear up for the big night. Preparations for tonight's New Year's Eve Sky Spectacular are well underway in Old Sacramento. The day also marks 1 year since a gunman opened fire in a bar, killing 2 people. Officials say they're working with Sacramento Police, CHP, West Sacramento Police, and private security to ensure safety. Organizers anticipate up to 45,000 people stopping by for tonight's festivities. In Del Paso Heights, police say that they're investigating the death of a 5-year-old little girl. On Sunday night, emergency crews were called out to a home on Jasmine Street for a medical aid call. They transported that little girl to the hospital where she died from her injuries. Homicide detectives are investigating her death, but we're hearing that it may have been accidental. We'll get to more on the New Year's Eve celebrations there in just a little bit, but we here at Fox 40 have partnerships all across the country, and here's a look at some of the top stories making headlines across America. And we start first in Colorado, and there investigators reveal new details about the deadly high school shooting in Centennial that took place 2 weeks ago. Authorities say 18-year-old Carl Pearson entered the school through an unlocked security door before shooting 17-year-old Claire Davis, who later died. Authorities say that door was rarely locked for easy access to that part of the building. Pearson was armed with a shotgun, a machete, 125 rounds of ammunition, and 3 homemade explosive devices. From there, we move over to Louisiana and a bizarre case of assault that happened there. A Lake Charles man is facing charges after he allegedly tried to infect sheriff's deputies with the AIDS virus. Officials say they took Bryce Joseph to the hospital to be treated for injuries after he was arrested for assault. Once he was there, they say he just snapped. And from there, we move over now to New York, and they're getting ready, of course, for a very big celebration that is happening tonight. The famous New Year's Eve ball is in place above Times Square, and here's a video of the famous ball going up yesterday. So this is something both Paul and I can attest to personally. Anything can happen on live TV. We've seen some funny situations and some embarrassing ones.
Well, yes, you were grabbed by the baboon.
You were pooped on by a seagull.
She had warned her producer that she wasn't feeling well.
Now, I could imagine if someone from our station would have said that to our executive producer, Charles, he'd be like, it's great TV, just go.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's what we were thinking both the time you got pooped on by the seagull.
Thank you.
And went on like nothing. Well, actually, you did have a little bit of fun with it.
You can't go on like nothing had
And
happened.
the time you got groped inappropriately by the baboon and did go on like nothing had happened.
Now,
That was fantastic.
when you say groped inappropriately by the baboon, does that imply there's a way to be groped appropriately by a baboon?
Well, I'm just trying to be as politically correct with the moment as I can. There could be children watching.
What'd you say, the baboon got to second base?
Yeah, he got to second base.
There we go. All right. Well,
Without buying dinner. And a neighborhood with Christmas lights and children playing outdoors. Stockton police say some residents in the Valley Oak district got an eyeful yesterday afternoon. Residents say 36-year-old John Redmond managed to get on a rooftop and jump onto 4 houses while completely naked. Police were searching for Redmond, who had an outstanding warrant, when police arrived at the home on Eden Avenue. Redmond fled through a back door before appearing on the roof with no clothes on. We've lost some incredible people this year, as we do every year, and I just wanted to revisit maybe a couple and one that we may not have talked about. So if you take my laptop, of course, James Gandolfini passed away earlier, Corey Monteith, Paul Walker, and Helen Thomas. I didn't even realize that Helen Thomas had passed away. She was a longtime White House correspondent. Nelson Mandela. But I wanted to talk about these ladies right here. So a lady who passed away is a gal by the name of Lavon Pepper Pear Davis. And she is the one right there. She's the catcher. Okay. And she is with, of course, the All-American Girls Baseball League, highlighted in the film from 1992, A League of Their Own.
There's no crying in baseball.
There's no crying in baseball. One of the greatest movies and one of my favorites. It stars Gina Davis, Tom Hanks, and Lavon passed away in February this year. She was 88 years old. And maybe didn't get enough attention, but she, of course, was in this documentary, also called A League of Their Own, and she said you had to live down this image of being a girl ball player. It was not the most popular thing to be in our era. They looked at you kind of funny, you know, why weren't you in the kitchen? Are you really a ball player? The image was not that great. So I just wanted to give a little bit of love to Pepper Pear Davis. These are some of the other images from the other teams as well. But of course, someone and a notable part of our history. So of course she passed away this past February, and she was 88 years old.